And so we saw the passage between centuries and, if you want to take it seriously, between millennia. And the next poems I'll read are from this century. Although, of a certain age, when I say the last century, I keep thinking of the 19th century. No, it's the 20th century. It's the last century. And there was a great transcontinental train called the 20th Century Limited. The poem is called 20th Century Unlimited. As the 20th century fades out, the 19th begins again. It is as if nothing happened, though those who lived it thought that everything was happening. Enough to name a world for and a time to hold it in your hand, unlimited, the last delusion, like the perfect mask of death. So I'll read a couple of poems each from three different books that came in that first decade. And the first of them actually spanned the last year of the 20th century and the first year of the 21st. And it consisted of 100 poems. And as it turned out, this was not pre-planned, I had finished 50 by the end of the 20th century, and then the next 50 were written at the beginning of the 21st century. I called it a book of witness. Pay careful attention. You might make sense out of the title of the whole book, Eye of Witness. And it actually it begins with a quote from the Mexican shamaness Maria Sabina. Language belongs to the saint children. They speak and I have the power to translate. They speak and I have the saint children of the sacred mushrooms. And the language I have comes from elsewhere. It speaks, they speak, something speaks, and I have the power to translate. The case for memory. And let me say, in this, it's full of the first person pronoun, I, which poets often feel themselves limited, but there's also an unlimiting quality in that, and so much that one can say in the first person that that's not merely autobiographical or confessional. So there are short statements with I by others in this. The case for memory. I was amok and fearless, twice deceived, for which I sought out satisfactions in a tree. Too carelessly I reached for love, and deep down I found you in a froth of frenzy, spent my days around the pan yards. I would ask no help from those whose trust is weak, but I would buy the latest and the least. I live for something practical, the case for memory. I set one foot into the space the others leave abandoned. Not your lord or slave, I meet you in an equal clash of wills and face you down. I only touch the ground on Sundays. A cruel nirvana. Half dead is still alive, and half alive is too. So keep it rolling, I declare. The others mingle in a room atop the city where a fire burns. They sing, I sing among them. Then I push my way through with my thumbs. I eke a living from a stone. Hard knocks are bound to follow. I can hear a water song close by my ear and track it where it leads me. It is summer, but the trees are dead. They vanish with our fallen friends. The eye in torment brings them down. Each mind a little world. Cruel nirvana. A real man. Mangled fingers push the stones aside, the scars run deep, hate suits the human face far better than a mask. The price of happiness is wisdom. Stones that interfere with speech will interfere with sleep no longer. Soon he wipes away the stain. The motor seems outrageous. Back and forth he walks. I watch the fathers growing, throwing caution to the winds. My body hovers in an air the man can hold forever in his sights. I do not trust his way of dealing. He and I are brothers for this moment only. Watch his fingers closing. He is a real man when he murders, is he not? I believe that's called irony.
It's a real question.
It's a real question. In the first poem of the new century millennium, Southern California, San Diego, bright, warm, sunny day, not like other New Year's days I had known in the past. And of course, different because the number had changed. Voices are dumb until I speak for them. Knowing the sound, I find myself between two fires. One is dark green, one the color of my mind asleep. I come into the new world where the thought of death no longer rankles. It will be good to be a stranger always, to know the names by which we visit, back and forth and sideways. In the morning I will wear a suit with shoulders big as boards. My clothes are silver plastic. When I step into the car, it starts to fly. I play games with children where I make a nose into an ear. Like a clock, my heart moves closer to the burning babe and stays there. I will now count the century by ones and twos. This morning, all the voices in my dream spoke with one voice. I feel privileged to be here among you. From now on, we will live on borrowed time. And then there were two other series of 50 poems each, so that makes another 100. Set by numbers. And one was 50 caprichos after Goya. An image from Goya appears on the cover here. And the other is called A Book of Concealments, the name taken from a section, the Jewish mystical text, this section of the Zohar, which is usually translated as Book of Concealment, a Book of Concealments. And in these, the first person pronoun disappears. It doesn't disappear, I make it disappear. So the first one was full of first person, the Book of Witness was full of that. The others proceed without first person. So from 50 Caprichos after Goya, famous image, one place where he allows himself presumably to appear a figure slumped over a desk with bats and other creatures flying around him. And on the desk, the words written, the sleep of reason that produces monsters, the sleep of reason. But it could also be the dream of reason that produces monsters. The sleep of reason, for Clayton Eshelman. Words imprinted on a sign by Goya, glowing white against a surface nearly white. The sleep of reason that produces monsters. He is sitting on a chair, his head slumped, resting on his arms or on the marble table, pencil set aside, his nightcoat open, thighs exposed. All things that fly at night fly past him, wings that brush an ear conceal the memory beginning in the house of sleep. His is a world where owls live in palm trees, where a shadow in the sky is like a magpie. White and black are colors only in the mind. The cat you didn't murder springs to life, a whistle whirling in a cup, gone and foregone, a chasm bright with eyes. There is a cave in Spain, a fecal underworld where bats are swarming among bulls, the blackness ending in a wall, his hands rubbed up against a blind man in a painted world, a mock and monstrous banging